Rob Dillingham is easily one of the most fun to watch players in college basketball. He went from a very raw prospect coming into this season to being a projected lottery pick in almost every mock draft. And that's because Rob has got to be the quickest and shiftiest player in the entire country. There are very few players in college basketball that can do what Rob can do. And although he has his flaws, the things he does well more than makes up for them. His shot creating ability is already at an NBA level. Whether that's getting to the rim, creating something in the mid-range, or even a three-pointer feet behind the line, it all comes completely natural. Because he has unbelievable speed and is quicker than every one of his defenders, staying in front of him is next to impossible. Especially because he can score from anywhere and out of nowhere, the defense has to stay ready for him to score at all times. Rob's listed at 6'2" and 170 pounds, which is a little bit smaller of a frame going into the NBA, but he has gotten a lot stronger since being at Kentucky, and his speed more than makes up for it. He creates a ton of space with every single one of his moves, and even if he doesn't, he only needs a little bit of room to get his shot off. Plus, when Rob gets going, he can become very streaky. He's one of those dudes that can score over 10 points in the span of like a minute, completely out of nowhere, and that's even after missing some of his previous shots. He just looks so relaxed in the way he plays and is overall just one of the most creative scorers I've seen in a while. Rob's ball handling is another part of his game that's in the elite tier. It's part of the reason why he can blow by defenders or create space so easily, and when he's at his best, he looks like an NBA guard playing in college. Also, his playmaking and decision making has gotten a lot better throughout the season. Coming into this year, one of the biggest concerns with him was his ability to pass the ball. He was somewhat known as a shot chucker coming out of the Overtime Elite League, and his passing ability wasn't really talked about. But even when the season first started, his passing was a lot better than I think a lot of people were expecting. And don't get me wrong, he still sometimes makes bad decisions or throws the wrong pass at the wrong time, but he's been miles better than what he could have been. And honestly, it's just another thing that has made him an even bigger threat on the offensive end. He's been coming off the bench for Kentucky all season and even won the SEC's Sixth Man of the Year. And if you're wondering why he's coming off the bench, it's mainly because the team is just stacked at the guard positions. It also gives him more room and leeway to run his own game when he does get in. The unit he runs off the bench could literally be a starting lineup for several other Division I schools. Another player that's been coming off the bench with him is Reed Sheppard, who is also a freshman and even won SEC's Freshman of the Year award. They have two players winning SEC awards that aren't even in the starting lineup. But in 23 minutes a game as the sixth man, Rob has been averaging over 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, while also shooting 48% from the field and 45% from 3 on 4.5 attempts a game. Just honestly really impressive numbers all across the board. And again, I know there still are some on-the-court decision-making issues here and there, but still, coming from a very raw player to where he is now is pretty crazy. He has gotten so much better since leaving the Overtime Elite League, and it also tells you the sky's the limit on how good he can really become. The main reason Kentucky wanted him was because of his upside, and that same upside will be the reason NBA teams are going to want him. He was considered the shiftiest player when he was in high school, then became the shiftiest player in college, so who knows what he's going to look like in the NBA. He's been compared to guys like Darius Garland, Lou Williams, and Trae Young. He's a decent to even solid defender at times, but because he's a smaller guard in the NBA, he will need to become a really good facilitating guard. And from what I've seen so far, that is totally possible. Almost everything in his bag right now will translate even better in the NBA than it does in college. With the extra spacing and ability to quite literally do whatever he wants in the NBA, he really might be even better there than he is in college. He will probably struggle on defense at first, but as long as his offensive play outweighs him being a liability like most of the top guards, then he will be just fine. But Rob's been a big name since he was like a kid, so if there's anyone that can handle the pressure to become great, it's him. And he's also had one of the most interesting paths to the NBA that I've ever seen. He won a U16 championship with Team USA after winning a state championship with Combine Academy. Then from there, he would transfer to the extremely popular at the time Donda Academy, which was literally created by Kanye West. That's where he started to blow up, because they had an unbelievable amount of cameras on them. But as we all know, Donda Academy would be shut down before the 2022 season because Kanye West is Kanye West, so Rob had to go somewhere else, which would end up being the Overtime Elite League that the Thompson twins were just drafted out of. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a professional league that top high schoolers can play in under real contracts, or it's a place you can go to instead of college like the G League Ignite team. There you can train with top level trainers and top level facilities to become the best possible player you can become. I really like the idea, and I truly think more options like this will open up in the future, although I'm not the biggest fan of Overtime's execution of it. But that's another topic for another video. This is where he gained even more popularity. Tons of his clips were going viral, and he was basically known as the street hooper playing organized basketball. He had some insanely smooth clips while looking like he's not even trying. Rob had some dominant games while looking like he was just playing basketball with his friends. It was awesome. He averaged 15 points and 5 assists throughout the regular season and upped his averages to 18 points and 6.5 assists during the playoffs. Overtime Elite doesn't have the best competition in the country, but it is a lot tougher than most regular high schools that you're gonna go against. And by the time this season was finished, Rob was ranked as a 5-star recruit and the 15th best player in the class of 2023. He was originally committed to NC State, but decided to decommit to go to Kentucky, which kinda seems like a no-brainer if you had the choice. Rob knew his role wouldn't be as significant at Kentucky, but he also knew he would be playing for a program that's just overall a lot better. And again, they were banking on that upside that totally ended up paying off. Most recently, they lost in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament to Texas A&M despite a 27.7 assist game from Rob. That game was mostly lost because of their defense, or should I say lack thereof. Texas A&M has scored over 90 points just 2 times all season, and both of those games were against Kentucky. They also beat Kentucky in both of those games as well. Although it's a disappointing finish in that tournament, they do still have a chance at redemption in the March Madness tournament, so we'll see what they do there. Regardless, I think it's just awesome he's truly embraced his role coming off the bench and has only used it to become a better player. And because the 2024 draft class isn't all that amazing, it helps his draft stock even more. There isn't really a big name player everyone's waiting to see get drafted this season like in a lot of other ones. But a lot of the times that happens, it honestly just means it's going to go down as an all-around good class. And because the Spurs have 2 top 10 picks in the draft, people are already talking about him teaming up with Wembanyama, which would be incredible. They would actually be the most entertaining team in the league, but only time will tell if that actually happens. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Rob Dillingham, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.